for today's cup of coffee with Scream.
A cup of coffee.
Oh, it's been a hard weekend.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like the tragedy down in Texas, and then I know that there was flooding. We're recording this on July the 6th, 2025. Flooding down in North Carolina again. It's not western. I think it's central North Carolina from what I had read. I think I had read that correctly. So it's not the same area that's still recovering from Helene. And
Shit.
yeah. So it's a different area. And what has been interesting to observe during these things, people's reaction to tragedy. And people process emotions, especially difficult emotions, in different ways. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I have noticed that, and is Elizabeth Kubler-Ross wrote a book as far as the different stages of grief. And as far as she did a lot of research on death and dying. And these are hard realities. And that there are different stages that she observed. First stage was like denial. And
well, ain't this just a wonderful thing to wake up to?
It is, but it's necessary. There's a time and a season for all things.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then it was a matter of bargaining with God. And then finally, that last stage was acceptance. This is more of a ministry cup. Because it just feels inappropriate to do something jovial at this point.
Well, you know what? That's what I was trying to do there. I was trying to make a bad joke and then well, that just doesn't, nope, not the time.
Yeah. And
I'm just going to sit here and be peanut gallery.
That's okay too. And so it's one of those that within this, anytime that there is some kind of unexplained thing, it's blaming. People want to blame. Well, if you had if they had if somebody had and then God always gets blamed. Ultimately, he's the one that gets blamed, and it's like, well, you know, it could be that he was the one that prevented it from being worse than it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's almost like a form of survivor's guilt. That if you are not affected personally, you know, this is something, a kid and I were talking earlier, and it is a situational awareness, even on a spiritual and mental level. Mm-hmm. For your own mental health, spiritual health, you know, when some tragedy like this occurs, you pray for the people. You do what you can as far as assistance. You know, make sure that it's a verified company, you know, before you donate. Do not donate to the Red Cross. I will tell you that right now.
Why? What are they doing?
They have had lots of, people can research on that, but I know that Cajun Navy and Samaritan's Purse were some of the ones that were wonderful with Helene, and that they're down there in Texas, and there's others. Mm-hmm. You know, if you want to help financially and stuff. But your world does not stop because someone else's did. It is not mentally and spiritually healthy to carry someone else's burden. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, like I said, to see people try to place blame. Because ultimately, there are things outside of our control. And it brings it back to the reality that we are mortal. That this world is not our home. That those of us that are followers of Christ, we believe that we're just passing through here. Mm-hmm. And to go back to be with Him. There's other people that they don't. That's not their belief, that they think this is all that there is. I think that's very sad.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
That would freak me out.
Uh-huh.
If this is it, you know?
Yeah.
No, there is more to this.
Sure.
This is but a game level.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, in our family, we have seen so many miracles. I mean, for years. Mm-hmm. And it just, I mean, incredible things. And people's like, well, you're making this. No, they were things that there was no explanation the way that they happened. That doesn't mean that the story ended the way that I wanted it to. That doesn't mean that I have an understanding of why the story was at all. But that is also one of those that, in my belief, it is, I hate the term surrender. I don't have it in me. But I can deal with the word to accept.
Yeah.
Because I do trust that God knows more than I do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in situations like this, it says it rains on the just and the unjust. And there are times that things just happen. Whether it was weather engineering or whatever it was. And so don't get into the blame thing. Mm-hmm. If we can learn from these tragedies to try to prevent future tragedies, good.
Yeah.
But the earth that we live on is constantly changing.
Mm-hmm. It is one big Fortnite map, always moving, always changing.
Yeah, and
will
so
not look the same by the end of the
right.
season.
Right, and we like to think that the ground beneath us is just never going to move. That's not reality.
Right.
It's just us sort of, we lull ourselves into comfort, sometimes complacency, mm-hmm. but you can't go through in fear.
Right. Right. You can't live in fear.
No.
You cannot let fear dictate where you go in life.
You won't go any place because it will paralyze you.
Yeah. You will sit there and you will spin and you will think. And you will think, until your brain is completely...
Right. And to miss it.
Mm-hmm.
To miss the living.
To miss the being in this moment.
And it says we do not have the promise of tomorrow. That we are to deal with each day, deal with what each day presents to us, be of service to others. Mm-hmm. And like I said, that service may be on some of these things to stay out of the way. As far as first responders, everybody wants. These are specific situations that certain ones are trained to do. Mm-hmm. If you want to learn how to be a first responder, I'm sure that there are classes and stuff like that you could get involved.
Yeah.
Because where this was a large event, there are people that they have events that are large to them in their world every day. Mm-hmm. And thank God for the first responders.
Being a first responder is not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You have to really, you do what you can and then let God do what He's going to do. Mm-hmm. And to trust that even when you don't understand, that there was a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Hebrews 11:1, and there's repeating numbers. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And I get it. There are some people, it's like, well, God's invisible. Yes, to human eyes. Mm-hmm. So is infrared and ultraviolet, but it exists.
Yeah. Yeah, that perfect examples of stuff.
And it was interesting because Kabuki Theater had shared a video with me today, a link of a lady she's down in Tennessee someplace, and she had a vision. I mean, she had seen something, and it was this huge, it had freaked her out. Totally, completely. Uh-huh. I'll put the link in the description box and you can go and listen to her. But what was interesting to me, and she's very much involved with her local church and different things like that. Because that she had had this paranormal and supernatural experience, just the over concern about being deceived, and because that this entity, whatever it was that she saw, appeared to be dark, just because something appears dark does not mean that it's evil.
Right.
And believers should be the first ones that's sitting there going, yeah, we have paranormal and supernatural. It happens every day.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have that, what kind of a belief system? You ain't reading the same book.
Right, because it's all supernatural.
Mm-hmm. But whatever it was, and I don't know if it was an audible thing that she heard or if there was a form of communication where the creature had said, we're here. And she took that as far as very much could be an angelic something. We're in a spiritual battle. We've been talking about this forever. We were all battle born.
Right.
But the veil between the worlds is thinning. And so you've got people that are going to see things. I was told that years ago. That there for a long time that just certain ones of us would see things or know things or whatever. That's going to be common. And those of us that have been doing this for a while, it's a matter of to help the others that it is new to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that we're trying to do with this little, cup of coffee today is to encourage other people, encourage people to, it's okay to rejoice that you're blessed, to thank God that it was not you, to pray for those that it did occur to. You don't have to go through your day guilty because you're blessed that you were spared today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And people do that. They have a tendency to miss the blessings because they're too worried about the future and the what ifs and the da-da-da. And that's what led quite a few of us down the road of alcoholism. I don't want to go back down the road of the alcoholism.
Yeah.
I don't have to anymore. I don't have to. So it is a matter to trust in a higher power.
Mm-hmm.
And just say a prayer for those folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say a prayer for our nation. I encourage people to pray for America because we are definitely at a crossroads. Mm-hmm. This was foretold. We knew it was going to happen. Do we know what is going to happen? No. But it is a matter of having faith. And it's not just our nation. It's the whole world right now.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows something big.
Mm-hmm.
Big.
Something big is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Everybody is indeed involved in having a supernatural and paranormal experience. Everybody.
I swear I'm hearing shit while working. I swear.
I think that Josie had said
or seeing
that it
shit.
could be rats. I hope it's not rats in the supermarket. That would
well,
be
damn,
bad.
those are some tall rats.
Oh? Tall?
Well, I don't know. It's like I'm seeing shit in the corner of my eye, and it looks pretty high up. So
Well, let's hope it's not rats. That would be bad. I doubt very seriously that I'd say that their standards are where they would not tolerate anything like that in that store. Yeah, I'm believing that. Leave me in my illusion.
Okay.
You want to tell the people where we can be found?
You can find us on BitChute, Rumble, and YouTube at Rolanda's Cup of Coffee with Scream. Also, check her out on X, previously known as Twitter, at RolandaCOCWS.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us.
Know that you are loved.
Mm-hmm.
Treat other people the way you would like to be treated. And Lord willing, we'll see you on the next cup.
Yep, yep.
Bye.